30-3 is the final. Number 2 Michigan handles its business today, Sam, and wasn't a dominant win, but 30-3 is still a win against East Carolina. A lot of good things today. Some things were still concerning, but Michigan comes out, gets the W. Passing game impressive. J.J. McCarthy damn near perfect in throwing the football today. 26-30, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. Let's start off there with the passing game. What J.J. was able to do, especially connecting with Roman Wilson.
Yeah, J.J. is the story of this game from Michigan's perspective. When you think about what the word was coming out of the offseason, spring ball, fall camp, was that he is just so sharp. Yeah. There was one point like 3 weeks into camp where I was hearing from some of the guys saying, JJ, he hasn't thrown any interceptions. There have been some balls intercepted, but he hasn't thrown them. Like the only ball, he had like 2 or 3 interceptions, and they were all off like batted balls. So that's how sharp he's been, and it looked like that today.
Yeah.
On a day where they weren't just able to push this team around, and we'll get to that shortly. So it was really incumbent upon them to let him take some shots. Play action was a big part of today's game, and he was really accurate with his downfield throwing. And so that was something that was different from this point in the season last year. You credit JJ and the work he put in. You credit Kirk Campbell. I really think the relationship between JJ and Kirk Campbell is one of the storylines that won't go as recognized as it should be. Because I remember when first of all, when Jim was looking for a new quarterback coach, JJ was standing on the table for Kirk Campbell. I want this guy. Now, Jim talked to some people, but his number 9 said, I want this guy. Right. And when he was hired, you could hear from all the folks that were in his circle, they got a quarterback guy. I mean, it was very intent on labeling him as a quarterback guy. So, JJ, think about some of the fundamentals that you saw. Every time he broke the pocket, every time he was flushed, he always had his head downfield. He stayed in his passing profile. He was able to find receivers. He was able to collapse the defense because they got to react to his ability to run. So a year ago at this time, when he's scrambling, he's running.
Yeah.
But that was different in this game.
Yeah, you saw that on the first touchdown pass to Roman Wilson. Again, 3 touchdown connections today. I thought the last one was a beautiful pass in the corner end zone, double coverage there. I mean, JJ just had it all going, but let's switch it up to the run game. 122 total yards. I know last year was about all Michigan does the ground and pound. Where's the passing game? It was sort of a role reversal today, where it was the passing game because East Carolina was selling out to stop the run. Yeah. But any concerns there with the rushing game?
So first, let's talk about the positive piece of this. Look, they were selling out to stop the run, and Michigan took what they gave them and took some shots in the passing game down the field. I mean, there was a time where you just get belligerent, you just keep running it into a brick wall. And they didn't do that. They took what the defense gave them. Now, this is an offense that is so beastly that there are times that even when teams are, selling out to take away their run game, they can still pound it. With I think, an adjustment and approach. I think what stood out to me today was you had ECU shutting down interior rush lanes, just like we saw TCU do, just like we saw Illinois do. Very intent on closing those inside gaps down, and because they know Michigan is trying to pound you inside. They're gonna run power. They're gonna run counter. They're gonna run duo. Now, duo to me has become their staple run play, and this team did a really good job of shutting that down. There are 2 responses that I see, and Michigan did one of them today. Starting to run it outside some. Mm-hmm. You can hit outside. We didn't see any pin and pulls, but they ran some stretch plays. I think they're going to have to do that with more consistency. They stuffed a couple of stretch plays, but they kept going back to it because that's what's open against a team like this. Yep. Some bluff runs, getting JJ on the perimeter. They were very judicious with that. They didn't run them at all, but that's open against a team that tries to do this, right? So I think that's going to be something that down the line you really see them do and really see them incorporate, because other teams, they see the menu. Those 3 teams that I mentioned, Illinois shut down their interior run game, TCU shut down their interior run game, and this team shut down their interior run game. And the other piece that we saw Michigan take advantage of, play action shots. I mean, it was especially off duo. That's where they got their biggest chunks, a couple of play action shots off of duo kicks. Those were wide open, and you're going to see that. But Michigan is going to want to run the football still, and I think that's going to mean their perimeter run game kind of stepping up a notch, and that's what I think they work on coming out of this game.
Switching over to the defense side of the football, obviously some guys, some boo-boos coming in this game. Some guys got held out. Michigan doesn't. East Carolina doesn't score till the final seconds of the game. They score the field goal. Michigan loses the shutout. You got to like what you saw at Michigan's defense. I know no sacks, but they were getting pressure. East Carolina was getting rid of the ball early.
Yeah.
And then and plus the defensive backs with the guys out today. You saw some guys that sort of stepped up to the plate and really showed that they can play for this Michigan defense.
Yeah, Keon Sabb and Keyshawn Harris. You got to give those guys some credit. I think they were slated to play, even if the starters had been there. They would have played, but they obviously played a more prominent role, and they held up with all that action, all that increased work. They were up to the task. Right now, as Jesse Minter said, they followed the tone set by their leader. On the back end, Mikey Sainristel, who was in midseason form. I mean, he was sticking to guys like glue. He got the interception in there off the pressure.
Of Kenneth Grant.
Of Kenneth Grant, who we'll talk about. So that was considering arguably I think they are your two best DBs, outside of Mikey, of course. You miss those two guys that are, all Big Ten level, and you don't miss a beat. Even against an ECU, I think that's impressive. I was really impressed with the linebackers. Chris Partridge, it's a combination of things. It's maturation of those guys. Mike Barrett, who you went to see when he was down in Valdosta. Did you see him play any defense that day?
He was playing quarterback.
Yeah, he was playing quarterback, running back, receiver.
I knew he was an athlete. That's the only thing I knew. I knew that the kid could play.
Yeah, my point is he was an offensive guy. He comes in. They move him to defensive back. He's safety. He's nickel. And then they move him up to linebacker. Right, so it's been a minute settling into a role where now it's playing on instinct and not just athleticism. Now you see him playing on both instinct, athleticism. He's experienced, and he's laying the wood. Same thing with Junior Colson. Same thing with Ernest Hausman, who came over from Nebraska as a ball player. And Chris Partridge, his impact, man, you can feel it.
Right.
You can really, really feel. Those guys were physical and they were gap sound. That was a big part of this game. But if you got this front, no, they didn't get any sacks. You would like to have seen some sacks. I kind of think that's nitpicking, right? Considering their approach, they were trying to get rid of the ball quick. There were some times that they held it though, and Michigan still didn't get home. You want to see that kind of step up a notch. But man, what we did see, Mason Graham and Chris Jenkins are going to be problems, and Kenneth Grant. So he didn't have, I think Mason might have led him as far as number of tackles are concerned, but I felt Kenneth Grant out there today.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
Kenneth Grant is a grown-ass man. I'm telling you. That dude is tough to block, and it was tough to block in the pass. I kind of thought it was going to be in the run game, but you felt Kenneth Grant in the pass game being a pass rush presence, and it wasn't just a bull rush. That one where you had to swim move and got in the backfield. Yeah, so he brings you speed, power, and quickness. There's some things a lot of things to really take away positive. You talk about anything to improve upon defensively. I think we're nitpicking, especially considering what they were missing. If there's one thing, though, you'd say, hey, see a little more pass rush. I think we will see that in the weeks to come.
And then obviously once they get all their starters back, and we can really judge them then. But hey, you got to give Michigan an A for effort on the defensive side of the ball today.
And they were without Jim Harbaugh. I mean, that's no small thing. Jesse Minter said he took over a well-oiled machine. Everyone did what they were supposed to do. You saw the leader stepping up. The staff really was dialed into their tasks. But I thought JJ said it best. That is your leader. That is a presence. When it's not there, you miss it. And so I don't think it's a small thing that they came out and they played as good a football, as sound a football, and as clean a football. There were some mess ups late, but that was mostly the backups in there. The play as clean as they did today without their leader out there says something about the whole program.
Yeah, as Jesse Minter said, guardians of victory. They got the job done. For Sam Webb, I'm Josh Newkirk for the Michigan Insider.